We want to be able to make sure that we have some of these deeper parts. I kind of join this together a little bit more. I want a little bit more of a separation maybe. I want to clean up a few things and get them a little deeper. But I don't want to go ahead and have things so exaggerated that it starts looking like a negative. I think some of you have probably looked at each other's work over on the community and realized that if we get too bright and too much of a pattern, too much of a fill-in area around some things, it's starting to look like a negative instead of a contoured highlight receding into the dark. And so that's what we really want to be able to do with a lot of the exaggerated, like the bags under his eyes and things like this. It's pretty exaggerated in here, and if we're not careful, that's going to interpret pretty harsh, and we won't be able to have that wonderful going into the dark or having him come out of the dark. Now, if I lightened up the image, I can see a lot more information in there, but then I lose some of the feel of what I want, some of the interpretation that I want, and I start seeing a lot of other stuff. And the more value I put in there, the more white, it is going to have a tendency to make it go flat. And my main focus on this was to see if we can go ahead and do something that is going to add curve and contour, just like in the hair. When I come up to this place, I want to be able to now take my Verithin and come in here with a crescendo, just like we do on the tapered stroke. This is a tapered stroke, but I want it to recede into the darkness and have the brightest part right in the middle. Keeping a sharp pencil is going to really help, but this is going to help suggest that this is curved and this is just coming out enough that it's catching that light. And these are the things, I think, just some of the things that are really going to help you have something dynamic, and not just when you see hairs back in here towards the back of the head, that you don't just make these almost as bright as this, because these are telling a story. These are telling what the environment is. It's adding mood and all the different things that somebody is going to say, wow, how do you do that? That's just fantastic. It just grabs me. And these are ways you can interpret. Now, you can do these things even on a simple drawing, as I say often, as long as you follow the principles. These are a few little things that I think are easy enough for all of you to do, so that you don't end up by just having a line like this and expecting that to have contour and dimension. If you're having it all the same value, what happens when something's the same value? It is flat. It becomes flat even if it's a line or a gradation. So if I'm going to make I might as well just scrub this in here. If I'm going to make this all the same and I expected it to be a contour, it's not going to be. I'm going to have to make an effort to see that range of value, and sometimes be able to see the slightest range of value, to be able to see how light I can go or how light my touch can be, so I can fade this into the darkness instead of on the other end we're fading it into the light. But I want to be able to see, can I do this without leaving that edge, just like we do on a normal patch, so I can get the ultimate contour and the ultimate indication of the light direction, because I want to have a consistent light direction. And so those are some of the challenges with this particular assignment. And if you've gone a little past some of that and you've become a little flat and maybe you didn't get the contour, then if you've used the color erase, you can come back in and actually tap it out. I like it takes some patience, but I like the end. I like to just have some control and just gradually tap out. You'll get used to how much to take off, but I think I have a lot more opportunity to gradually just mold this and make sure that maybe I've taken off too much. I'll come back in and I'll put on a little more, and then maybe I'll come in and I'll take it off. But I can't do that with the other pencils like I can with this color erase. But I'm past the color erase now. I've laid down my basic values here, and we'll go ahead and just pick out a few things. And then I went ahead and drew that other one out on that illustration board, And just to take one a little further, I didn't want to get too far past. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be able to show you the differences. And so I'll move over to that one that I did. But look at our opportunity now to pick out a few things. Oh, there's a little reflective hair, just in the eyebrow here. And so maybe it's going to be too much. If I can't get it off with the eraser, remember that I can also feather it back by using my X-Acto knife and just take that end and recede it back in and have a crescendo on this as well. I couldn't do this if I didn't have a good sharp pencil. And so I always want to make sure that I'm doing that, sharpening it up, not expecting it to do miracles, because I just was too lazy to sharpen it, and I just had more of a color crayon approach to it. So let's come in and see if we can improve some of this. I'm going to find that I don't want to really press too hard. I'm going to really damage the paper and score it, and it'll become shiny just like it does if you burnish your paper, your Strathmore 300 vellum Bristol. But I don't want this to all become the same. I see this is that farthest point forward. It seems this curve here is having some of the brightest value there because that's the apex of that curve. But I can come through and noodle in now, maybe even just some subtle wrinkles, and make sure it fades back.